What's up, Fight fans? This is the third and final part in my action movie review of the Rush Hour trilogy, and of course that means I'll be reviewing Rush Hour 3. This movie was released in 2007, almost 6 years after Rush Hour 2 was released. This is partially due to development hell, and unfortunately this film series was a victim of it. And also it could be due to the fact that Jackie Chan had other film projects in mind. He had other film projects he was obligated to. When it was released, it became somewhat of a hit, even though critics tried to pan the film. I can in no way do that. I enjoyed it. And of course, again, they teamed back with Brett Ratner. They have more producers this time. It stars Jackie Chan, of course, Chris Tucker, obviously. Yvonne Attal, Zima returns as Consul Han. Hiroyuki Sanada is in this film. And they have Sun Ming Ming. No, not Sun Ming Ming. Is a giant that Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker battle. And of course, Zhang Jingchu plays a grown-up Su Young, who of course has been practicing martial arts, as you'll see in one of the action sequences of the film. Lalo Schifrin returns for the score. And since this movie is set in Paris, Brett Ratner had to get a cameo by Roman Polanski as a Parisian police detective. This film pretty much sets up 3 years after Rush Hour 2. Carter's no longer a detective, he's now a traffic cop, which basically means he's been demoted, even though he and Lee teamed up and busted 2 high-profile international cases. For some reason, he got demoted. Lee is now the bodyguard for Ambassador Han. And, of course, Lee and Carter, they still have cell phones and they talk to each other. But Lee's pissed off about something that happened in New York in between the second film and the third film. Ironically, I guess it was this is part of a plot that was proposed for the third film, but it was basically stuck in development for whatever fucking reason the studios decided to do that shit. It would have been a great film. Anyway, the ambassador is unfortunately attempted to be assassinated by a triad as he's about to make a speech about how important it is to fight them. It is then that Lee runs into his former brother, Kenji. He decides not to shoot Kenji, and Carter tries to ask him about it. Later on, it's revealed that Kenji and Lee both grew up together in the same orphanage. Lee ended up being adopted, but Kenji didn't. Kenji ended up being adopted by the triads, and thus he's become a criminal while his quote-unquote brother has become a cop, which added a level of drama to this film. Once they learn where to go, they go to Paris and they run into Polanski, who catches them in the airport and decides to give them a very thorough cavity search, which is not shown. And of course they run into a Parisian cab driver who hates Americans. And of course Carter, being Carter, pulls a gun on him and tells them to drive faster as they're being chased by triads in a pretty much very interesting car chase. And of course they had to have hot women in it. Of course, Yuki Kudo makes a guest appearance as a triad assassin named Jasmine. And Carter gets a love interest named Guinevere, played by Noemie Lenoir. I think I pronounced her name right. It is thus revealed that she is what the triads have been looking for. On the back of her shaved head, in a very funny sequence where Carter freaks out, it is revealed that on the back of her head there's a tattoo that lists the names of all the triad bosses. Once it's learned, her head will be cut off and her body will be burned and all this other weird stuff. And it turns out that she's an informant that they have to protect. And on top of that, Su Young gets kidnapped by the triad again. Lee has to fight Kenji on the Eiffel Tower. Carter's in the fight scene, and then, that's how it goes down. In this film, the action sequences are again top notch. Of course, it's Jackie Chan's involved, so the action sequences are good. For die-hard action fans, it'll be particularly interesting as Hiroyuki Sanada, who's one of the biggest action stars coming out of Japan, in my opinion. He was part of the Japan Action Club, and from what I understand, personally trained by the legendary Sonny Chiba. And then, of course, you have Jackie Chan, Peking Opera School, worked under Yin Wu Ping, Drunken Master, Police Story, and such. And of course, they turn out a pretty decent and interesting action sequence in which they use samurai swords, which is pretty awesome. And of course, there's a lot of major stunts on the Eiffel Tower, which one of the things that Jackie Chan always wanted to do but hadn't done yet. The humor is always up, and there's a funny sequence where Jackie and Chris Tucker sing a song together, which is pretty funny. Now, a lot of people, they probably weren't used to the idea. It's been over 6 years in the previous film, and they was wondering what they were trying to do. And many people didn't like it. But me, I did like it. It was certainly a wonderful surprise. As far as Rush Hour is concerned, it was a film. It's become pretty much a film franchise that deserves as many sequels as they can possibly do. And this certainly was a great surprise. Everyone was pretty much hoping and wondering whether or not they'll actually do one in New York, as it was previously mentioned that there's a possibility that Lee and Carter will go to New York. Instead, they set this one in Paris. Now, apparently, since it was stuck in development hell, for some reason it didn't end up in New York City, so they had to rewrite the whole script again. But there is another undercurrent. There's sort of a rift between the two buddy cops that they're not so much buddy-buddy anymore. At least Carter is to Lee, but Lee is not as to Carter. For somehow, something happened in New York when they were working on the case that is pretty much, we don't know what happened because that movie wasn't made. And Carter's character accidentally shot Lee's girlfriend, who was played by Rosalind Sanchez, the Secret Service agent. Apparently shot her in the neck accidentally. Of course, Carter is justifying what he happened, said, hey, she was in the way, she's fine now. And of course, Jackie Chan's character doesn't want to hear any of it. For the most part, it was pretty interesting. Many people think it might lack some of the magic the previous two films had. It may have a little bit set in a city you usually don't see action films set in, but for the most part it was pretty good. If I could give it anything, it's 4.5 out of 5. And of course, in the previous reviews I said I was going to add something extra to this. Apparently, the rumor is that there's going to be, because of the box office success, they're considering a Rush Hour 4. Now, according to the audio commentary for Rush Hour 3, the fourth Rush Hour film could be released in either 2010 or 2012. And they're talking about maybe using motion capture for the sequences or some crazy crap like that. I heard other things. I heard Brian De Palma was trying to direct it. They're trying to get him to direct it. I don't know. It's something strange like that. If they do decide to do another sequel, I would hope that they will make it and release it a hell of a lot sooner than they did this one, instead of having us waiting around so long, to the point where any hope of it ever being released, or if it being released, it being good, pretty much died down. But for the most part, it was a success. It grossed $255 million worldwide, and pretty much there's still hopes out there that there will be a Rush Hour 4. Hell, if they did 4 Lethal Weapons and 4 Die Hards and 4 Rambos, they can do 4 Rush Hours. I don't see why not. And, well, that's just about it for me. See you later.